All right, let's do this. Riding solo. I don't know if I can look at the chat. I can't even look at the screen or the chat. I'm in bad shape tonight because the game cast is definitely ahead of me, and the chat's definitely ahead of me. I had to go live. We had to go live. You know why we had to go live? Let's go. We gotta get the likes going, boys and girls. Don't want to single anyone out. Don't want to forget anyone. But we need the likes. We need a big hit. All right, we don't deserve to win this game. We don't deserve to win this game. We're not supposed to win this game. But we can win this game. Steer is coming up. He's come up twice in this game with an opportunity to break it open. And by break it open, I mean score a baseball run. And by scoring a baseball run, that's usually sometimes all it takes. Apple TV would be nice if you on the desktop browser didn't wait 30 seconds for your stuff to go away. That'd be nice. Golly, does Major League Baseball make it like impossible to try to figure out where to watch baseball games or what? As soon as you think you got it figured out on one end, they throw you through a loop somewhere else. I know I'm being a little facetious in saying that, but seriously. And that's a really good pitch. It's a really good pitch. We need somebody to make a baseball play. Somebody. Got to put the chat away. These announcers are horrendous, by the way. That's a good pitch. Looked like a fastball down the middle, and it was not a fastball and not a strike. Did Apple TV just decide they were going to find some guys internally, in-house, to call baseball games? Go get a new piece of lumber, Steer. Slider, splitter. Fastball. Come on, Spencer. Get lucky. Come on. Nope. All right. We've had opportunities, chat. We've had opportunities. It's not, I know 0 runs is 0 runs, but come on, Spence. There was that fastball. Damn, man. Alexis Diaz. Who's coming in? I said Alexis Diaz. I got Alexa downstairs just yelling and screaming at me now. All right, I'm going to put you back up, chat. What's ridiculous is I have to cover the whole entire stream because it's just ahead of me. The chat's ahead of me. Brutal. If we're being honest, it's starting to becoming a little concerning. This Reds offense is very, very concerning, and it's largely because anytime somebody good throws, they don't stand much of a chance. When was the last time you could say the Cincinnati Reds went up against somebody very good and hit them well? Noah Syndergaard's not that answer. That's not the answer. And then honestly, before that, I can't even remember. Jeff in the 812 can't even get it on the radio, he says. It's just crazy, man. Who's your daddy? I'm with you, man. This isn't good, brother. It's not good. It's not like this is once every week or something at this point. This is becoming the norm. This is becoming the norm. And you know what's crazy about it is the right-hander, left-hander thing's been something we've all been screaming about, and there's no question about it. Let's be very clear. When a left-hander throws, there's a bunch of guys in the lineup that don't belong on a big league team that's going to make the playoffs. right? If we want to sit here and act like we're a postseason team, it's hard to convince yourself that you're a postseason team when you look at the lineup that's put out when we face a left-handed pitcher. Right-handed pitcher, if we're being honest, it's starting to still feel like, are we a playoff team? Because as much as we, this is just being dead honest. I'm not trying to be pessimistic or overly critical. I think this team's got an incredible future. I think this team's brighter than bright, but let's face it. I mean, Joey Votto he's not that guy that once was. Doesn't mean he can't have some bright spots, but I know this sounds wild. I don't want to sound too crazy, but am I overly ridiculous for thinking that it's wild that Joey Votto didn't get pinch hit for earlier? Again, I had a lot going on today. I'm not get a chance to see every single pitch of this game, but does he chat help me out? Do we have guys on the bench, or are we very, very, very thin? And I know you're going to tell me, oh my gosh, you're yelling about Kevin Newman. I mean, lefty on lefty with Joey Votto, again, with a good pitcher, is not good news. At least Kevin Newman's going to put the ball in play. But I'm not overly mad about it. I'm just, no, not this, Alexis. Not overly mad about it, but I'm just curious. If you're only going to get so many chances in a game to score a run, you got to try to put the best guy at the plate anytime you get a chance. What's up with Alexis, man? I you know what? Reds and 4, shout out Reds and 4 Twitter. I know that he not Reds and 4. I'm sorry. I get all these Twitter names mixed up. Reds Daily 4, I think, put out a stat that said that Alexis Diaz statistically has been relatively the same when it comes to save situations and not. It just doesn't feel like that. I'm trying to reverse jinx this, hopefully. I'm trying. What? It's inexcusable. That's not even on Tyler, man. That's not on Tyler. We can't get on Stevenson for that one, guys. That's just bad. Yeah, same spot. You got a chance. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Chat, did you hear that? That umpire is awesome. He just told Calvin Biggio, that is. I think it's Calvin. Is it Calvin or Kelvin? Anyways, he told him, listen, I probably missed the first one, but that one was definitely a strike. They're humans, man. I'm glad he admitted he missed the first one. Shout out to Apple TV for having just a little bit of a, umpire mic? Is that what we're going to call that? Good for them on that. You don't get that with Bally. Although Bally's going bankrupt and Apple's got like $700 billion in cash in the bank, so I would expect them to probably be a little bit better. Skull City Blues. Trying to read this comment and watch this game at the same time. When you start a negative statement about a player backed up with facts or stats, stand behind that statement, but candy By candy coating it. Skull, if you're going to get on me, use English, brother. Come on here. When you start a negative statement about a player backed up with facts or stats, stand behind. Don't back off that statement, but by candy coating it. By, you mean by as in B-Y. I got it. Okay, we're good. Took me a minute. I got it. All right, what are you saying? Joey Votto? You're saying Joey Votto? Skull City Blues? Well, what do you want me to say? I just said that I think he's lefty on lefty. He's not very good. He's hitting like 200. But I'll try to take that. I like constructive criticism. I'm not joking about that. I am a man of person that I try to get better. I like getting better. I like when people tell me that I'm not good at something because then I try to get better at it. Oh, no. Dude, this guy's got some Golden Corral in him. What's his name? My gosh. It's the short and wide version of that jersey. What's this guy's name, chat? Alexandra Buffet. Alejandro Buffet. This guy's a silver slugger. I don't know him. I need to start paying attention to the American League. I take back everything I said about him. Take back everything I've said about him. Skull City Blues, I understand. I'm with you, Skull City. This isn't a negative thing. I'm not saying what you said's bad. The only thing I would say to that is, like, sometimes you got to be careful because you don't want to crush a guy like Joey Votto. I don't want to kill Joey Votto. I could say that I don't think he's very good right now. It's just facts. That's the truth. But I still like Joey Votto, so I don't want to crush Joey Votto. Nice hats by these guys, by the way. Do you think they planned that before they came to the game? He's out. Who's got it? Friedel's got it. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's win a baseball game. Come on, chat. We're not supposed to win this game. Joey Votto's leading off, and I've been saying bad things about him, Skull, so we're looking good now. I also said he probably should have got pinch hit for earlier this game, so that's also a very good sign. We need more likes than 22, though. I can tell you that. What's wild is I don't even have the screen up that we live stream from, so I don't even know if I'm live half the time. I'm looking down, looking right, looking left, trying to figure that out. I think we're still good. We've got to win a baseball game right here, right? Like, we don't deserve to win this game. Don't deserve to win this game. This is stealing a baseball game. Got Kennedy on the mound. Haven't scored a run through eight innings. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? Healthcare.gov. I was getting ready to say, this looks like a nice commercial. They probably spent some money on it. It's the government. They definitely spent a lot of money on that. Paid by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. I'm sure they spent a pretty penny. Endless budget there. What is Mattress Firm doing? We do need a DSC deep drive, Alex. We need a DSC deep drive in its worst way possible. Huge Daddy, I don't even, you know what's, can I admit something right now? I do have Pilsners upstairs. I only got one fine Pilsner. That's the problem. I also have another Pilsner upstairs that's probably been sitting in there for like 4 months. I probably just need to throw it away. And I also feel like it could turn into a disaster stream. I'll turn the stream upside down if I went upstairs and got it, so I'm not even going to do it. I do need to come up with some solution because I plan on chugging this Pilsner right in front of me if we can find a way to get off in the 9th inning and win this game. Jordan Hicks, a good football player. Pride of Lakota West. We definitely need likes, folks. 34 likes. Don't know if that's going to cut it. Don't know if that's going to cut it. Come on, Joey. Get up. Get up. Hit it well. Got it off the end of the bat a little bit, maybe. You just got to sit on this fastball and just let it rip. Nope, it's down. Oh, man. Chat. To be honest with you, I had a bunch of stats and stuff ready to go and all that, and in the graphics and all these things. If this game goes extras, then I did all those are out the window. Got to be ready to go for that one. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds easy to be said, and it is easy to be said, but I mean, I'm just selling out for a fastball and just hoping I can get lucky and square one up, and it's a fastball. Not right down the middle, but one that I'd like to swing at. Apple TV commercials versus Bally TV commercials. I'm gonna go with Apple TV commercials. I've only seen like a few, but Bally's they're just not it. Big Corey, the Viking helmet guy. He wants some positive vibes with the super chat. Coming in hot. Super chat for good luck. We need all the good luck we can get, man. We need all the good luck we can get. And when I say that, I mean it. I mean it. Get out of here! Get out of here! Get out of here! Woo! It's the Viking helmet guy! It's the Viking helmet guy! Woo! Don't use your teeth, but use them when you need them. Are you kidding me? Whoa! That's how you steal a baseball game. That's how you steal one. You just take it from them. CS, CS, CS. I got to do a show. I don't even know what the hell is going on. We just stole a baseball game from Toronto. Brett Kennedy pitched. We scored 0 runs for 9 innings. And we won. All right. You got to give me a minute. You got to give me a minute. I got like 9 different windows open. I got to find the window for the graphic package. I got to put the screen on. And now we got to do a baseball show.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the wall, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Reds win! Line to the right field, Junior, the first run ever, with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line, doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first. And Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
that's for the podcast. You can see in the rundown, I had a blank open canvas. We're gonna do this live together. That's how this is gonna go, chat. You ready for it? You ready? You ready for it? Here it goes. And update. That's all it needed to be. I left it open for a reason. Shout out to me, Big Brain Trace, coming through in the clutch, knowing that somebody had to step up for this baseball team. Somebody had to do something special. In order to do something special, like make the postseason when you're supposed to win 64 and a half games. How you're supposed to win a half game, I don't know, but that's what Vegas came up with. That's what I'm sticking with. In order to make the postseason when you win 64 and a half games, you got to have special moments. That was a special moment. Brett Kennedy, 5 innings pitched, 0 runs. Guy was playing like indie ball last year or something. I don't even remember. I honestly, at this moment, that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take to make the postseason. We got to find ways to steal wins over the next 2 weeks. This offense has been bad. It's been bad. It's been bad. But you know what? When one thing goes really bad, this team earlier this year, the reason they were so damn good is because someone else picked them up. Somebody stepped up. The bullpen, I'm not forgetting about him. The bullpen, unbelievable. Kennedy, unbelievable. Kennedy, second start, 2 starts, both unbelievable. I know people wanted to make fun of the first start, second start, unbelievable. Can you imagine a scenario when I tell you, starting tonight, that the Reds were going to score 0 runs going into the 9th inning, and they were going to hit 1 home run in the 9th, that was it, 1 run, and they won the baseball game? You'd have looked at me crazy. I would have said we were crazy. It was never going to work. That's ridiculous. It felt like a Luke Weaver outing where you were going to have to score like 9 runs to be in the game. No offense to Luke. Love Luke. But I got to update the graphic. There's so many things I got to do. When I told you guys that Nick Kirby runs the show, I meant it. I meant it. Here's what we're going to do together as well, right? This team deserves 1 run and a final. That's how that goes. So if you're just joining, there's a multitude of things to talk about. I obviously don't have Nick here tonight, so the show might be a little bit shorter depending on where we go, how we get there. I'm going to rely on the chat a good amount on where we want to go, how we want to discuss things, what ideas we have to discuss, because tonight there's not really a lot to talk about. There's not a lot to talk about. I mean, I do want to give another shout out to Big Corey, the big Viking helmet guy. The Viking helmet guy came in here. Now, to be fair to the Viking helmet guy, I'm not saying you did this, Viking helmet guy, but there's a chance you were at the game, you seen the home run, you put it in immediately, and you look like a hero. I don't think you did that, but if you did, kudos to you, because your timing was impeccable. Come in with the super chat for good luck. 30 seconds later, bomb. Possible. Not probable. All right. We always do a box score recap, right? We're going to do a box score recap right now. I'm going to try to put this thing together. Alex Wallace, I didn't forget about you. You said that we needed a deep South commodities drive of the game. We needed it. DSE got the big time from CES. What I tell you about acronyms, that's not even the right word. Whatever the hell the word is. I don't know. My brain is shot today. I've done 9 billion things, and I'm not making excuses, but I do need to find a way to get a box score recap. You ready for the box score recap? Nobody scored a baseball run for 9 innings until Christian Encarnacion-Strand stepped up to the plate and hit one 1 billion miles in the air, went all the way to the bleachers, and that was the end of it. 1-0. How's that for a box score recap? You like it? Maybe later tonight I'll come up with a better one for the podcast tomorrow, but the chances of that are slim to none, and Slim did leave town, so we'll see. With the offensive struggles, how worried are we? I think we should put that in the chat. How worried are we? CES basically just was a huge Band-Aid. Let's be honest with each other. Let's be honest. If we're in the trust tree, chat, if we're in the trust tree, we were all a little upset. If the Toronto Blue Jays win 1-0, 2-1 in 10 innings, this chat is toxic. You think I'm toxic? This chat would have been absolutely boiling toxicity. But no, that's why sports are great. You can't make it up. CES comes in, hits a hanging breaking ball. Might have been sitting on the breaking ball because he let that fastball go right down and maybe not down the middle, to be fair to CES. It was a good pitch. But, here's the thing. I said earlier today, I really do mean this. If this Reds team can just find a way to go 500 over the next week and a half, 2 weeks, they're going to be in the postseason. They're going to be in the postseason. Now, it doesn't mean that that obviously the end of September and midway through September to the end of September, I should say. I get that you might say it's a cakewalk. That's a fair statement to make. However, the only thing I would say to that is that they got swept by the Nationals a few weeks ago or a week ago, whatever it's been now. And you can't. It's Major League Baseball. You got to play. And most of the time, whether you win or you lose, it comes down to how well you're playing, not who you're playing. Sometimes, obviously, who you're playing matters. But again, there's really, in my opinion, 4 or 5 teams in the league that you don't want to play because you think that they're just really, really good. And you could pick out those teams just by going and looking at the standings. But the beautiful thing is like I said before, if this team can find a way to get a little bit of spark back, a little hot, they're going to find a way to be in the postseason. And at that point, I've said before, the postseason's ridiculous. You play 162 games to get a chance to play best of 3, best of 5, best of 7 series. Best of 7's a little more realistic, but still, you can get hot and accidentally, as a team that's not as good as somebody else, get hot enough to be able to make a deep run in the postseason. So you just got to get there. You just got to give yourself a chance. And as Nick said many, many times before, when it comes to postseason play for the Cincinnati Reds, the reason they've have an abysmal record, the reason that we haven't advanced, we've been the longest franchise it's been in MLB history right now, and I say history as in we're the last team to advance in the postseason. The reason for that is that they've not had chances to do that. They've only had a handful of chances. You give yourself more times, you give yourself more at-bats, you're probably bound to get a hit. There's a joke in there. There's a joke in there somewhere. Go ask somebody that doesn't get hits a lot. I'm not going to be mean to our teammates, but I just thought about it. I always thought about being mean to one of our guys, but I didn't. Shout out to me. All right. I am one-man showing it tonight. Nick Kirby has Friday night off. My voice obviously is a little raspy. I got like 7 hours of sports talk radio in me today. Been all over the world under the sun, so bear with me a little bit tonight. I'm asking for your grace, if anything. All right? I'm asking for your grace, if anything. Because, I got to be honest with you, chat. When you do a show like this and you watch a baseball game like that, what do you really say outside of the fact that this offense has just not got it done? And then on top of that, there's just been a couple situations. I'll bring up a situation. There's been a couple times this year where you could argue that this offense has had a really, really poor performance. In the past week, actually, they've had a couple poor performances. In fact, the last time they got shut out, Spencer Steer came to the plate in some big moments. Some really big moments. And at some point, Spencer Steer is going to break through in these moments, right? Tonight came up. 2 times he's come up with first and second. Grounded out tonight. The other night was the situation where he flew out to right. Ellie got doubled up. But here soon, these shutouts or one-run games, Steer drives the ball in the gap. It's a whole new game. It's a whole new game. Guys, you got second and third, or not just second and third. You might have scored 2 runs and had a guy with a bases clearing double with the fact that Ellie De La Cruz is on base. So Steer is a great player. And I know that his name probably isn't always going to get called up in these situations, but the last 2 shutouts that we've had going here, he's come up in some big spots, and unfortunately, he didn't drive him in. He didn't have a bad at-bat, to be fair to Spencer. But that's going to turn itself around. Spencer Steer is a great baseball player, and he's gonna come up in a big spot here soon again and make a play. So everybody on this team has contributed in some form or fashion. Will Benson was a little disappointing, obviously, early in the game, but I don't know how much we make of that. I seen that coming a mile away. As soon as I seen that pop up and he just wasn't running at all, because I don't know what he thought. I know what he thought. He just thought that he couldn't run to the bag because he was going to lap whoever was on first. Was it Stevenson on first? I don't even remember at this point, but you just got to know better. Whether that would have mattered or not, I don't know. I had a statistical graphic going here, guys. I'm gonna put it up anyways because it's gonna be dead wrong. I want someone in the chat to tell me what it really is because I got a million things going on. Someone tell me in the chat what this really is, and I'll fix it. But they're 1 through 6 hitters at one point were combined 1 for 14. I believe there was one more hit, and that one more hit was a big one. I think CES took care of that. But somebody in the chat can tell me. You guys can clean that up for me. I appreciate it. All right, what do we want to talk about? Where are we at? I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to talking. I have the rundown here, offensive struggles. We'll get into that right this second. But if there's other things that we want to discuss, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I don't want to say the what's the term? The prisoners run the asylum. Tonight, the chat's going to run the show, maybe. That might be a thing. That's very possible. That's very possible. All right, let's get into the J-Bar. We will go into the offensive struggles. Is this overreaction? Are we overreacting right now by saying, oh, my gosh, or is this one of those things where we have a real problem? And when I say overreact, over a 162-game stretch, you're going to have periods where the offense struggles, right? You're going to have low points and high points no matter how good of a baseball team you are. Maybe you could say the Braves or maybe one of the few teams where they probably haven't had too many low points or at least this long of a low point. But a team like the Reds, with as many rookies as they have and as many young guys as they have, it's impossible for them not to struggle at some point. Impossible. So I'm not trying to overreact here, but I do think we have a problem. And as much as I got on Jonathan India earlier this year, not pulling his weight, and he wasn't, okay? He wasn't pulling his weight. But Jake Fraley's been a concern. These guys are still not back in the lineup. This lineup is paper thin. And again, I think what proves that more than anything right now is that when Joey Votto had an opportunity to get pinch hit for earlier in the game, they didn't pinch hit for him. Now, you could say it was too early to pinch hit for Joey, but still, that was a lefty-on-lefty situation where you've struggled to score some runs. It felt like it was a pitcher's duel. You had a chance to bring in somebody that probably was going to put the ball in play and maybe get a hit. Now, Joey did put the ball in play, to be fair to him. But Joey's lefty-on-lefty splits have been really, really bad. And I thought that was a spot where David Bell could have possibly, again, pinch hit. But I think the reason he's not pinch hitting that early in the game is because there's just not enough guys on the bench. You wanted to wait. You didn't want to shoot all of your shots too early. That's part of it. Mr. Mo said Brett Kennedy over Luke Weaver. Well, no doubt. I mean, yeah, I think that's obvious after the fact. And you know what about Brett Kennedy, too? He's been thrown in some tough spots. It's not like this guy's had a chance to settle down and get an opportunity to throw a couple games in a row or anything like that. They threw him out there against the Nationals. I thought he did a pretty admirable job, although some weren't very pleased based off the statistics. When you look at the slash line, I just should say the pitching line. When you look at the pitching line, maybe you don't think it's great, but still, if you watch the game and you've seen how it went, Kennedy's been amazing. Tonight, unbelievable, really. I know people are going to be like, oh, unbelievable, 5 innings, no runs, big whoop. Dude, the guy's throwing like indie ball last year. Like, if we're going to sit here, like, I at least want to take it. Shouldn't you use, and maybe I'm wrong, but shouldn't you use a little bit of rationale behind what you say someone's been good or bad based off of who they are? I mean, that seems realistic. If some 7-year-old went out there and started playing in a high school baseball game and he walked once or he put the ball in play twice, I think he'd be like, damn, that's pretty impressive. 7-year-old put the ball in play against high school kids. That's kind of, no, this sounds a little disrespectful to Kennedy, but that's kind of how I look at Kennedy sometimes. Like, hey, listen, if this guy can go out, throw 5 or 6 innings and not give up more than 2 or 3 runs, by God, I'll take it. 5 innings, 3 runs. We'll survive another day. We'll keep it moving. Big Red Machine said Kennedy's four-seamer has a .098. That's .098 hit rate. .098. Less than 100. It's pretty good. RM saying Kennedy for president. No politics on this show. No politics. Can't do it, RM. I do like the pun, though. I'm trying to check the chat here. Bear with me tonight, fellas and girls. Elite Command. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know what else to say. Like, here's the thing about the bullpen. I try telling you guys this, and I say, guys, girls too. Everybody's included. I know I say guys. When I say guys, can we just get this out of the way? When I say guys, I mean guys and girls, okay? All right, leave me alone. Here's the thing. I said this a while back. I think the bullpen is legitimately the best thing about this team. It's the strongest point. It's the strongest asset this team has. Point blank. I'm sick and tired of saying it. But you know what? I hear guys saying, "Oh, Ian Jabot, Cruz, who are you going to rely on in the Derek Law? These guys, Buck Farmer, he's been this, that, and the other." I mean, I get what you're saying because they might not be household names. I get what you're saying because you might sit here and tell me that those guys aren't, quote, elite. Outside of Diaz, maybe you might have a point, but hell, I mean, you are who you are. If you get guys out, you get guys out. I don't know. I mean, maybe it all blows up. But I'm sitting here and I've been waiting for it to blow up for 2.5, 3 months. It's the same conversation I had with Nick Kirby the other night about the Padres. At some point, you are who your record says you are. You are who you are. This isn't like you play 5-6 months of baseball. Well, we played April, May, June, July, August. We're 5.5 months of baseball in here. I think you might just be who you are. The Padres blow 500. Buyers at the deadline. All I hear about is, well, they're just not playing well. They're not who they are. They'll make their. Yeah, and it's like if you want to use sportsbooks, shout out Betfred Sportsbooks. If you want to use Betfred Sportsbook as your saving grace of sitting here telling me what's true and not true, I'll sit here and tell you how long did it take for the Cardinals not to be the favorite to win the NL Central? It took legitimately like 2 months. Now, does water find its level usually? It usually does, but sometimes you have anomalies where some guys just have unbelievable seasons. And maybe that's not what you normally get on the back of the baseball card, but by golly, one year, you might just get that. And this bullpen, until they prove me completely wrong about who they are, I'm going to sit here and keep telling you, they're elite. They're elite. They get the ball, they get outs. They get the ball, they get outs. If you want to kill me for saying it, and you guys want to make fun of me for saying that, then that's fine. I'll live with it. But this offense, not clearly, obviously, right now, but even back in the day, I don't think it's the best asset this team has because it's hot or cold. There's no consistency. It reminds me of what unfortunately was painful in the past. We don't need to go down memory road here and get our hearts torn out, but you know what I'm talking about. You've seen Reds teams that look great one day and then they don't look great the next day, and by one day, I mean a week and then 2 weeks. That's tough to watch, but that's what this offense has been. That's what they're being right now. And again, we've said it until we're blue in the face on this show. Don't allow the Reds to hang around. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. If you allow the Reds to hang around for 30 more days, hell, not even 30, 20 more days, you let them hang around. If the Reds are within one game of any playoff position in the next 20 games, I'm telling you right now, book it. Book it. Postseason. The postseason. All right. There's a lot of Bells in the chat. Shout out David Bell. We got to give David Bell credit. That's the crazy thing about this game, right? CES comes in, hits a home run. David Bell's the man. CES doesn't come in and hit a home run. David Bell stinks. David Bell can't hit a baseball. It's weird how that works. All right, let's pay the bills around here. We got to shout out to our big time friends, right? Big time friends. DSC. I want to do this right, by the way. I want to do this right, so you're going to have to give me a minute. I want to know exactly every stat there is about that home run. I'm going to pull it up right now for everybody. You know why? Because it was the only damn run that was scored in the entire baseball game. It deserves as much praise as it possibly could get. Could you imagine being at that baseball game tonight, taking somebody for the first time to a baseball game? Hopefully they like soccer. Because if they didn't like soccer, then they probably wouldn't have enjoyed that. All right. I'll tell you who has the worst website in the history of websites, and that is MLB.com. I don't know why I keep going to this place. I really don't. But I'm going to keep doing it. All right. DSC. Deep drive of the game. Alex Wallace. I'm putting you in here, Alex. He asked for it. He said we needed a deep South commodities drive of the game. And by God, did we get one. By God, did we get one. Christian Encarnacion-Strand. How hard do you think it was? It was 103.7 off the bat, 411 feet, 35 degrees off the bat. Christian Encarnacion-Strand not only hits the deep drive of the game for Deep South Commodities, he also won the baseball game. I don't know if you know that or not. But Deep South Commodities is DSC. CES to DSC. Is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. I think we said that in the other show, that if you just go visit that site real fast, just give them a hit. Just go there, just like click on a little tab, deepsouthcommodities.com. Give them a hit. Let them know you're there, and then that's good luck. You hit the like button. You go to deepsouthcommodities.com. Then it's good luck for tomorrow. That's how this goes. All right. Where do we go from here? What do we talk about? Obviously, when you're solo in this, it's obviously harder to make the show go as long as you normally would, but I'm here to tell you I'm willing to go as long as you guys want to go. I'm willing to go as long as you want to go. If you want to talk about the fact that the Cincinnati Reds just stole a baseball game from the Toronto Blue Jays, we can. Because remember when we talked at length about 60, you've heard this stupid phrase, but it's true. Is it stupid if it's true? I don't know if it's stupid if it's true. It's 50, 50, and 62, right? 62 games that matter. This was a 62 gamer. And it feels like the Reds have played a lot of those 62 gamers, but, hey, let's not remind ourselves. But I'm going to tell you, we played 2 in Chicago that we were all really upset and pissed about. But guess what? That was 2 of the 50. Tonight was 2 of the 62. I wish I could sit here and give you as much beautiful wisdom as there is. But this offense has to figure it out. If they don't, we're in trouble. I've already talked about kudos to Kennedy, but seriously, this kid. I guess I got a question for the chat. He gets another start, right? He's starting. Does he start? He starts again. He has to. I mean, I know Green's coming back. Am I crazy? Somebody tell me if I'm wrong. This is where I need Nick Kirby in my life. He has to start again. How do you tell him he doesn't start again? The dude's thrown 2 games now. This isn't just one. He's thrown 2 games now, and he's looked pretty damn good in both of them. I'm putting it up as a poll question. We'll see. He has to throw again. I mean, how do you not let him throw when he's done what he's done? Not just once, but twice. And this team needs one more guy right now. I know Green's coming back. Shout out Hunter Green. Hopefully throws a gem. We need him to throw a gem. I heard the other day someone say that this whole weekend was just about Hunter Green. Oh, come on, man. We got playoff baseball. This is a pennant race we're in. Every game matters. This isn't just like, this isn't. We're long gone. And that's a great thing. Doesn't mean we need to forecast or sit here and act like this isn't a great season if things don't go our way. But let's not sit here and fool ourselves. This is a pennant race. Okay? Let's, for just a second, put away what all the rookies have done. Put away what everyone else has done. Sit here and act like, they shouldn't be here. Let's just happy-go-lucky. Hey, let's enjoy this for what it is. We haven't gotten this feeling. We haven't gotten this specific feeling in a long time. We're scoreboard watching. We're watching the game every single night, knowing that if they win, they're legitimately right at the doorstep of the playoffs. They're right there. If you were running the Flying Pig Marathon, I'm pretty sure I've never done it. I don't know why you'd want to, but just say you did. 26.2 miles. If we were doing that, we right now are on the hardest part of the course on mile 24 and a half. That's where we're at. This next 2 weeks, think about this for just a second. If you didn't watch baseball at all year long, and somebody told you there's going to be meaningful baseball played pretty much all year long, What's the best 2.5 weeks of the season that I should watch? You're picking this 2.5 weeks. That's what you should pick. That's how, I got to reiterate that. That's how important these calls are. And by calls, I mean games. I seen Sadak in the call in the chat. Threw me off. Ryan Smith. Please tell me, Sadak, why is it doing that to me? I can't even see the whole chat. Here it is. Please tell Sadak to do a voiceover on the call. That would be funny. I think Sadak might be a guy that would do that too. I think we can convince him to do that. Maybe he wouldn't. I don't know. Don't know John that well. That's the only bad news I got for Apple TV. I love Apple TV's images. I think that's a beautiful broadcast in general. Man, they need to figure out the announcing situation. Start a poll. Let's do it. Does Brett Kennedy deserve another start? Yes or no? It's already in there. Here we go. If this isn't like 90% yes, man, I feel bad for him. Has to be. I know we'll have some trolls that want to say no, but seriously, come on, man. Shout out Alexis Diaz, too. Remember when I started that inning off and I said that shout out Reds Daily said that his stats are relatively identical when he comes into close situations and he doesn't come into some other close situations. His stats are almost identical, and I said it doesn't feel like that at all. I watched 2 pitches. He threw 2 balls. He threw 2 balls that were basically a mile outside. And I thought the wheels were coming off. A little premature assumption on my end, but he was nails after that. He had to strike 1 guy out on 4 pitches, so shout out to that guy. And also shout out to Apple TV and the umpire. If you get a chance, I'm being honest right now, if you get a chance, one thing that I heard and I noticed during that broadcast, I think Apple TV lets you go and rewind it. So if you have Apple TV, you can go back and rewind it. In all seriousness, this is how umpiring is. If you go to the specific spot where Biggio strikes out, and he asks the umpire the question, are you sure that was a strike? The umpire responded, and I'm paraphrasing now for you, but the umpire responding in some capacity of saying, I think the first one might have been a strike. It was very close. I know that one was a strike. In retrospect, I think the umpire knew that he missed the call, which is part of the reason that stinks about umpiring, because if I've done it, I've done it. I know it sounds goofy, but the way that's like society is when it comes to umpiring, you can't change your call after you made the call. I'm telling you, if that was the norm, if umpires were allowed to be like, you know what, I made an instant reaction right there that I immediately regret, I'm going to change my call to the correct one, I bet you would see more and more umpires doing that and getting the call actually right. But the problem is that you just can't do that. That's not the way it goes. That's not the way it goes. Reed Mouse is calling me. He must not know that we do Red shows. I have tempted to answer it, but I think that might turn sour. Could be bad. He's probably asking me for work things, but you know what? I can't answer it right now. Can't answer it. Can't answer it. All right, so some Bally slander in the chat. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. McClain, 2 of the 4 hits. Dave Kirby, thank you, Dave. Matt McClain's a stud. I'm going to talk about Matt McClain really fast. We'll talk about CES. I'll share some thoughts on CES. We'll talk about what's next, and then we'll get out of here. We'll let you enjoy your Friday night. I appreciate all of you coming in here on a solo night. Solo things, relatively difficult, especially after a 1-0 baseball game. What is there to say? What is there to talk about? Matt McClain is I don't think it's an arguable at this point. I don't think I genuinely think maybe you could say I'm overreacting. I don't think I am. I think he's the best player on this team. I think he is. I don't think if it's I really don't even know if it's close. I think it's one of those things where if you told me right now, who would I have to take? You ready for this bombshell? I think they're both going to be great. I think Ellie, the world, basically the world is, it could be Ellie's. It's all in the ball of his hand if everything goes right. But if you told me right now I could only pick one or the other, Ellie or Matt McClain, and I don't mean to do that. I don't like doing that. I'm not trying to pin our guys up against each other or anything stupid like that. I'm just taking Matt McClain, man. I'm taking Matt McLean. I think Ellie's his ceiling is way higher than Matt's. Yes, I get it. I'm not naive to that. When I watch Ellie play, there's times where I'm just like, dude, that dude's not human. I mean, he makes that play look so easy. It's not even, and that's not even easy at all. But there's just something about Matt McLean that I just couldn't. I just, maybe it's just the fact that he's short, gritty. He's just a grinded out type of guy, hard-nosed player. I don't know. I'm glad they're both on our team, though. Isn't that kind of fun? Isn't that funny? Do you want to bask in the appreciation of that for a minute? We get to watch Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McLean play the middle infield for years to come. For years to come. Barring some kind of ridiculous injury or something stupid like that, those guys are just unbelievable up the middle. I hope if anything in this show you've come to appreciate what kind of middle infield you have and what kind of player Matt McLean can be at second base, and why we've had the discussions about India. It's less about it. You know what it should have always been, and I regret this a little bit. It should have always been about Matt McLean and not about India. Should have always been about Matt McLean. Should have always been about him. And I know for a minute everybody got fooled, and when I say fooled, maybe that's the wrong word to use. I think everybody got into themselves where they thought Matt McLean should be the shortstop because he looks so damn good there. But unfortunately for Matt McLean, he might be able to play shortstop just as good as Ellie. But the unfortunate thing, if you want to call it that, is that when I'll use a great analogy right after this, I think, is that Matt McLean can play second base so well too that he just gets there. You know those guys, and maybe you're one of those guys. I certainly felt this, not bragging, but I certainly felt this when I first got into corporate America. If you work at a company and you show competence in a multitude of areas, and you're really good at your job, and you're able to multitask and do a multitude of things across the spectrum that other guys can't do, what happens? What happens? You usually get the job that's the most difficult and or the one that the others can't do. They put you at the job that the others can't do, instead of putting you at the job that you might be best at. I'm not saying that's what's happening 100% to Matt McLean, but I definitely somewhat feel that. I think Steve saying he likes Ellie at third. I understand that, but you got Marte coming up right behind, man. And Marte might not pan out, but listen, Ellie De La Cruz also an unbelievable shortstop. I mean, he's an unbelievable shortstop too. So, I mean, I know this was supposed to be about CES. We'll talk about him now. Nick Kirby said the other day that there's some guys that are going to get hot on this team because they're too good of baseball players not to. They're too good of players to not start to turn the corner. CES, let's be honest, he's not shown the power that we all expected him to have. He's actually played probably above, from an average standpoint, from putting the ball in play, from getting on base standpoint. He's played above what I even thought he might do when he first came up. But the difference is the power hasn't been there as a whole. When I say the power hasn't been there, I mean he's just not hitting the ball over the fence, let alone let alone doing what he's capable of doing, even remotely close to what I think he can do there. I know that was a jumble of words there. I got a little distracted here with the super chat. Ricky Logan with the super chat. Thank you. Give it up to Trace for off the bench and Chatterbox Reds. Thank you, Trace. I'm doing my best, Ricky. Thank you for the support, brother. My voice is a little out there. It's a little strained. I'm gonna need a couple days off here, but I'm gonna do my best till Tom comes back. We're gonna keep it moving. Tonight was a ridiculous night in Chatterbox Sports. Chatterbox Bengals, I believe, is going off. If they're not going off now, they're going off here relatively soon. So if you like the Bengals, support that show. Please support that show. Those guys are getting their feet wet right now, so it might not be as polished as this one. It might be better. I don't know, but I'm just saying in general, it's tough to do these things when you're first starting. It takes a second to get your feet wet. Thankfully for me and Nick, there was 30 OG people watching back on opening day. And then, it took a month or two before we kind of found our footing. And then the Reds went on a 12-game win streak, and the rest is history, as they say. So I just want to say again, thank you, and I appreciate all the people that are watching. I feel like I've rambled on and said nothing great for what seems to be a half hour, 45 minutes. But 270-something people in here, it's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous. I'm sitting in my house. I started this company 3 years ago. What is it, 4 years ago at this point? 4 years ago. I don't know how we got here. I really don't. I still think we got ways to go, but I just can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you and what you guys mean to us when we do these shows. I know Nick's missing the show. He had some things he had to do. Nick deserves to miss as many shows as he wants because he puts so much time, effort, and energy in this. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. For those that don't know, I think that some people get fooled. Nick's not full-time. I'd love to make Nick full-time. I would love to make Nick full-time. Obviously, financially, I want to make sure that if he decides to move on and make a career choice and choose Chatterbox Sports, that it's very financially stable and he doesn't jump onto our ship and then a year later, the finances aren't there to where we have to would let him go or something like that. Again, I'm not taking a whole lot of venture capitalism on, so I don't plan on doing that because I just fear that if I were to go and do that, people would change the culture. They'd want us to do a bunch of stuff for clicks, and I'm not about that. At least right now, I'm not about that. So when I tell you to like the stream, when I tell you your super chats mean a lot, and this isn't about, listen, I'm being honest with you. I don't want any more super chats tonight. This isn't what this is about. I'm just telling you from the bottom of my heart, it's been one hell of a ride. Chatterbox Sports been one hell of a ride. Tonight's probably a good night to tell that story. I'll tell that story here in a little bit. I want to finish off with the Reds, and I'll tell you how we got to this point. Because some of you maybe want to know, some of you don't. I don't know, but I'll wait till the end of the show. So if you don't want to know, then you can just leave, and that's okay. But I'm just telling you right now, I can't tell you how much I appreciate when you like the streams, when you share it with somebody, when you tell them about us. I know you think we're goofy and we sound stupid, but likes have been equaling wins. Now, did we do it as a little bit of a shtick at the beginning to try to get people to like the stream? Maybe. Hand up. You got me. But, dude, I mean, if you're superstitious at all, I mean, just the proof's in the pudding, dude. We've been liking streams. We were down in the dumps there for a while, not liking streams, and we weren't winning baseball games. The next thing you know, I got fired up the night a little bit, sat on the stream for 15 minutes long just so we could get up to 100 likes. The next thing you know, we rattle off a couple wins. I'm just saying. All right, CES. I think that that he's a guy that could help us as well. We'll see how it goes, but I just wanted to say that. Let's do this. I'm going to tell you what's up next, and then we will keep it moving. So Nick said that he helped me out, and he has a starting pitching graphic. Let's see if that's the case. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe is that a thing? Oh, look at that. Tomorrow. Shout out Nick Kirby. Thank you for the graphic, my man. 640. Those stupid 640 times, dude. Those stupid 640 times. We're back at it again. 640. Reds versus Blue Jays. Back on Bally Sports Ohio. Sadak and I assume Barry Larkin. I assume Barry Larkin will be on the call. Brandon Williamson. Been unbelievable, too. Golly day is this guy. He's been unbelievable. And you know what? I'll tell you what. If he didn't have rain, can we all, let's think about that for a minute. He got 3 or 4 starts in a row where he legitimately had to worry about Mother Nature. A good portion of it. Start, stops, rains, had one cut short. He's going up against Bassett. I hope I say that guy's name right. This isn't a Paul DeJong situation, is it? I don't care. I'll still stick with Paul DeJong. Could care less about that guy. Plays for the Cardinals. Could care less. 3.95 ERA, 137 Ks. These guys are pretty good. The Blue Jays are good, man. Let's face it. But we'll be back tomorrow, as always, on Bally Sports Ohio and Chatterbox Reds. We'll be back. That's what's up next. I'm trying to keep the graphics moving. There's so many things that you got to do in a show that it's just ridiculous and it's just impossible to keep up by yourself. But I'm doing my best here. We're gonna make sure we run the show as smoothly as possible. Let's do that. All right. So for those that care, listen, if the show, for the most part, from a Reds perspective is over. I'm going to be honest with you, but for those that care and you want to know how the hell we got to this point, who we are, how we got here, who Chatterbox Sports is as a whole, we're getting ready to launch a show called Chatterbox Bengals. Sometimes I sit around and I wonder how the hell we got here. Shout out to the big Corey, the Viking helmet guy, was at my place when it happened. Just good luck. I mean, the best. The new intro coming, Mr. Juan. What a guy. God bless it. Can I be honest with you, Mr. Juan? I've had that thing ready for a while. I don't have the guts to do it, man. I can't do it, Mr. Juan. I can't do it. I can't do the new intro. And I know it sounds stupid because it's like, oh, whatever. We don't have any impact on the game, this, that, and the other. You just don't risk things in life. You don't mess with them. I do have to do a dunk, Logan. I do. I'll do the dunk after the story because I don't know if the story is going to be that long. I don't have any Nicolas Cage pillows, David Brown, although David Brown. I hope you go back and watch OTB, by the way. If you didn't watch Off the Bench today, David Brown, go just fast forward to the very end. Shout out to David Brown. Mr. Juan, the new intro, I've had that thing legitimately for like a month. I can't play it, though, because this Reds team has been playing great baseball. I am not putting a new intro out there, and then the Reds lose like 12 in a row. I'm not doing it. So the beautiful thing is that we're going to have a new intro for next year. The next year, which is stupid to even talk about right now, because if you give me and Nick a full off season and the ability of what we can do with all of our graphics and our live streaming platform and all that, I think that the show is going to go to a whole new level. But right now, you get two talking heads with a little bit of a rundown down the middle, which I know many of you love. And by the way, the show is not going to change a whole lot. But from a graphic standpoint and things that we can do, bringing people in, maybe memes, stuff like that, make this show fun and funny, I think we can do a lot more. But I am not putting a new intro in. I'm not doing it. I can't do it. Maybe you could say I'm stupid and I'm superstitious, but I can't do it. All right. So that's when the intro's coming. Probably never. Unless the Reds lose like 10 in a row, and I feel like I got to change the mojo myself. All right. So for those that don't know, I know I got a dunk. I promise I'll do the dunk. But for those that don't know, we started Chatterbox Sports in 2019. We legitimately just were bored. I started a company that basically was magazines, local magazines for my city that I'm from, which is Hamilton, obviously. And we had a lot of success. Me and a guy named Sean Spurlock, we had a lot of success. And when I tell you we were working like 20 hours a week, sometimes I wonder, should we go back to that? But obviously not. But we were working like 20 hours a week. We were making decent money. And we looked at each other and we were like, is this really what we were playing video games in the office, shout out PUBG. And it was ridiculous. It was just like we were 28, 29 years old. Entrepreneurs, got lucky, found something we were good at, found a niche, making decent money, playing video games in the office. But you know what's funny is like when you're a high-level producer, sometimes you just get bored with stuff because you're just like, you know what, I think I'm supposed to be doing more than what I'm doing. Playing video games in the office during a weekday is probably not the best way to spend my life. So I guess you could say we grew up a little bit. And we decided we love sports. We've been a part of sports our whole life, and we decided there was nothing. And when I say nothing, there was nothing in high school sports that was anything close to being multimedia driven. It was all old school legacy stuff. It was newspapers and photos. Like there just wasn't anything there. So we're like, you know what? Let's start a media company. Like we did multimedia companies. See how close we can get to the professional level of how they cover sports and also collegiately, how they cover sports. So we started acquiring all of this equipment a little bit, and we were robbing the magazine company, if we're being completely honest. We were just stealing money, taking money from the magazine company and just buying equipment and going out and covering high school sports. And the beautiful thing with high school sports is you can make mistakes. There's nobody really there to tell you like you're not doing a good job. They're just happy you're there most of the time. And then we started realizing that we used to write articles, we would take pictures, we would do kind of like podcast type stuff. We would do shows. And then we started live streaming. And then when we started live streaming the games, like broadcasting them, that's what people loved us for. So we started to kind of angle that. In 2019, we started angling ourselves towards that. And then COVID happened. And what happened is legitimately, I'm not even kidding you, 3 months before COVID happened, we started making a concerted effort that we were going to become a live streaming company. We were going to broadcast as many high school games as humanly possible. And it just so happened that COVID happened, and the magazine company, this is where it gets ridiculous. All right, this is where a lot of people think that Trace is an idiot, and I am an idiot, and my wife thinks I'm probably crazy, and she's been very, very supportive, but she's also told me that I'm an idiot sometimes, which is fine. Sometimes idiots get lucky, though. So here's the thing. COVID happened. We got the PPP loan, right? You know what I'm talking about, like the payment protection plan or whatever they called it. I forget what it was. And the thing is that the magazines were still doing fine. They weren't doing as well, but they're still doing pretty fine. And I think that the government, and I say the government, obviously that's what it was. The government gives out us, I think they gave our company like $50,000 or something, because that's what it was. That's what the math added up to being. And again, you could go all the way up to $2 million. So $50,000 was like nothing to the government, obviously. So we filled out the paperwork. When I tell you we took $50,000 and we put, I'm not even kidding, $50,000 into hardware, into live streaming equipment. We went from doing 3 audio games on Friday Night Football in 2019. In 2020, when COVID happened, we thought we were legitimately going to have to shut Chatterbox down, because if they didn't play high school sports, this is how small the razor's edge is of small businesses. If they legitimately did not play high school football in 2020 and they shut the doors down and it was because of COVID and Ohio said that they couldn't play like other states did, Chatterbox Sports never exists. We just shut the doors down. We would have been bankrupt. But the opposite happened. They played the games. And they didn't let people go to the games. So when I tell you that was the most stressful 6 months, whatever it was, of high school football in my life, I still mean that to this day. If we're capable, and I tell our guys this, if we're capable of doing what we did, as small of a company as we were during COVID, during high school football, there's a high ceiling here. So we went from $50,000, like I said, of putting in hardware equipment, to where we went from doing 3 audio broadcasts on Friday Night Football in 2019. In 2020, we did 9 live video broadcasts every Friday night, and we put it behind a paywall, and that paywall basically helped us make a little bit of money. But really what it did was it gave us the knowledge of how to live stream. People think we made a lot of money for high school football, Friday Night Football during COVID. We really didn't. After we paid everybody out, we probably made at the end of the year like $5,000, which is ridiculous for how many hours we put in it. But what we did is we learned live streaming better than almost anybody, and it allows us to do what we're doing now, for being honest. So that's the story for large point, and I'll give you one small quick story about Tom. If we're being honest, and I told Tom this. This is where I guess I'll tell it. I'll tell the story. Why not tell the story? I'll be unbelievably honest with everybody. So I wasn't a huge Tom fan. Hate's a strong word. I don't think I hated Tom. I just wasn't a huge Tom fan because I felt like there was times where he was pessimistic, and it just felt like I also wasn't being brought a good product. So I don't know if it was much as I hated watching the Reds because the Reds stunk, or if it's because I just didn't like Tom because Tom told you how bad the Reds stunk. I don't know. I don't know what that dynamic was. But the crazy thing is this. I do think that people deserve second chances in life. I think that we all make mistakes. Some make bigger mistakes than other. But I think that if you're a Christian, then you should do your best to follow what the Bible says, and you shouldn't judge others, and you should do your best to try to support people. So I met Tom through Tim Krimchek, Doc. And I got lucky because Krimchek was interested in what we were doing on a high school level, wanted to support us through Beacon. Then he said, you know who would be great for this? I said, I'm open to ears. He said, Tom. I met Tom. And I'll be honest with you. I know it sounds wild, but when you meet Tom, he's just not the same guy that I thought that I felt like I kind of knew, I guess, through the broadcasts. Very humble. Unbelievably humble would be what I would say. I just, that's the main takeaway. Is a guy that you could say whatever you want about him. You could say that he wasn't good at his job. You can say all of those things. But I'm telling you right now, when I met a guy that called BCS games, a guy that called NFL playoff games, a guy that's been at the top of the top. You can say that you don't like him. You can make the joke. You can do all those things. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you right now, if you go look back at Tom Brenneman's career, he's had some unbelievable calls throughout the history of sports. He called the Derek Jeter play off the top of my head. He called the miracle that was when Boise State beat Oklahoma. He called the Statue of Liberty play. He called the blocked kick from Appalachian State when they beat Michigan. This guy has had unbelievable calls. And when I tell you I sit down with him, I'm this lowly guy that's just doing high school sports. And for a guy that, yes, I know he was down in the dumps. I know that his career was in shambles. I get all that. But he could have just looked at me and been like, "No, I'm not association. I'm not associating who I am with you." But he didn't do that, man. He was asking how he could help and what he could do to support Chatterbox. And I met him like 5 different times. 5 different times. And at this time, guys, I'm being honest with you, I thought maybe if I made an announcement and I said Tom Brennan was coming on, 10 high schools would call me up saying that I could never do anything with them ever again, and we would be bankrupt, because that's how we obviously facilitated our stuff. And that's not what happened. So Tom called a year worth of high school football games with us. We discussed then at that point, what was next? Does he want to go into sales or does he not? Because obviously high school football, he was only going to be able to do that for so long. And I asked him if he wanted to do a daily sports talk show. And I said, if you do, then I'm willing to support you as much as I possibly can. I'll buy the equipment. I'll make the studio look as nice as I possibly can. We're obviously not Fox. We're not a big company. We'll make the platform as the most entertaining platform we can around you. And he came on board. When he came on board, though, I think that changed the narrative. I think basically what happened was people thought we were bigger than what we really were. And that's that. Will Phillips asks, honest question, Trace, do you think Tom is genuinely repentant for what he did? His words hurt a lot of people, and I think it's fair to ask. Will, I mean, listen, I have a gay brother. I know you don't know that. I have a gay brother. I think when you have someone that is homosexual within your family, it changes your viewpoint a little bit. Again, I'm a Christian, so that there's some things there that I don't want to get into that I have personal beliefs about. However, I still think you should be a good person, even if you're a Christian and you don't believe things. You still are a good person. You still support people, right? You don't tear people down if you're a Christian, no matter what. That's not what Jesus is about, in my opinion. I don't want to turn this into a religious thing, but you get my point. At the end of the day, my main point with the 5 meetings with that question was, how serious was he? Was this just a guy trying to get back in for 2 seconds, and he wanted to give himself one more shining glass? After 5 meetings with you, it wasn't really about that. It was just about trying to get a guy that was really down. Tom Brennan was really down, and I think he'd tell you that. It's hard to feel sorry for a guy that's wealthy and shot himself in the foot, if you will. But when you realize the soul of somebody, their heart, and you meet them enough, I felt bad for Tom Brennan. That's the truth. That's the truth. So when I say he was remorseful, I think he's still remorseful to this day. I think that if you told him if there was one thing that he could change in his life, it obviously would be that one specific moment. He talks out loud, obviously, about all the blessings that it's given him, an opportunity to go and see his kids and do all those things. But I'm telling you right now, and I know many people want to associate Marty with Tom. I don't think that's fair at all. And I'm not saying Marty's not, doesn't have a heart of gold or anything like that. But when I tell you Tom has a heart of gold, man, he makes mistakes in his life. I listen, it could come out tomorrow that he made another mistake in his life, and that's all fair and well. And again, I'm not here to say that Tom Brennan is a saint by any means. I'm just telling you the down low. When you spend hours upon hours upon hours with somebody, the true character comes out. The true person comes out. You ultimately get. I've worked with enough people now. I can tell you, the interview process is one thing, but after you work with someone for 14 days to a week to a month, the fact of the matter is that you could truly get to the root of how someone is. Tom has a big heart, man. Has a really big heart, and I think he's more than remorseful. I know that I'm not going to be able to fix anything for him. I know that I could say whatever I say on air. It's not going to change anything. I'm not here to try to sit here and tell you that you should like the guy. That's not my goal with this. And I don't know how it's turned into this, but you wanted me to be honest about where we came from and who we are. And Tom Brenneman's a good part of that, because many people wouldn't know who Chatterbox Sports is if it wasn't for Tom Brenneman. And I think that some people think that Tom Brenneman is who Chatterbox Sports is. And I don't think that's the case either. I'd like to think that this show is independent of Off the Bench. My personality and Reed and Casey and Paul, shout out Paul, R.I.P. Paul, love Paul. Unfortunately, he left, but that's fine. But my point is when Paul was here, when Brandon was here, when any of these guys are here, we're independent of Tom. Tom, yes, he's a part of the team, but at the same time, listen, Chatterbox Sports in itself is not just one person. Not just me either. Just because I started it doesn't mean I'm me. I did say Elliott. I think I said Elliott. So at the end of the day, that's how I feel. I know that some people, are on one side of the aisle about Tom. You love him or you hate him or whatever. Again, I told you how I felt before I even knew Tom. I thought he was pessimistic at times, But if you also look back and you peel the onion back a little bit, Tom Brennaman had to call a lot of bad baseball. He had to call a lot of bad baseball. And I think at the end of the day, deep down, Tom will tell you, I think, this is my opinion, Tom will tell you that his goal as a broadcaster was to be professional and to tell you how he felt like you should be presented a broadcast, and that was that. But deep down, that little boy exists. Deep down, that little boy exists in Tom Brennaman, and Tom Brennaman wants the Cincinnati Reds to win. Tom Brennaman wants the Cincinnati Bengals to win. That little boy exists. You can say all you want about the biases of this. I'm telling you right now that I think some of that frustration came from the fact that the Reds were so bad for so long that he'd had enough of it, and he turned into the guy that he was when he called games. And let's also not sit here and act like perhaps, basically calling the biggest games of all time might make yourself feel a little bit, right? I mean, you go and do NFL games, playoff games. You're number 2 behind, basically, you could argue one of the best broadcasters of all time, and Joe Buck. I could see how somebody gets a little egotistic. I'm not saying that's what he was, but I'm saying I could see how somebody comes off or starts to become maybe a little bit like, oh, I'm calling a Reds game. It's not that big of a deal. Because in the grand scheme of things, if we're being honest, of all the things that he called, Reds games were pretty low on the spectacles of what he's been on. All right, that's enough of that. I'm going to dunk a basketball. I don't know why so many people just sat here and listened to all that, but I love y'all. I hope you get a little bit of a glimpse. Many people have asked me in the chat. They've DM'd me how this got started, who we are, what we've done. I guess from now on I can go and I can clip the last 25 minutes of this show and I can say, hey, this is what it is. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. That's who we are. Like us or hate us. Like us or hate us. All right, I'm going to dunk a basketball, which means I need to clear the graphics and I need to go dunk a basketball, and I'll do that to the best of my abilities. I just want to say that there is not going to be a graphic because Nick Kirby's not here. So I'm going to dunk the basketball. I'm going to walk back. I'm going to try to tell you that I'm an athlete. I'm going to end the show. But I just want to say before I do that I love you. I appreciate you. I really do mean that. If you can and you get a chance, go support Chatterbox Bengals. Those guys are going to give it everything they got. And at the end of it all, I don't know if it's going to be a great broadcast by them or not, but I can promise you it's much more technical and much more difficult to do than it looks. If you give them a little bit of time, I bet that Chatterbox Bengals show, I've talked to those guys plenty, I bet they end up having a hell of a show. And I obviously wish them nothing the best. Of course, they're on our platform, but I still wish them nothing the best. I think they're 3 really good guys, and Casey's helping produce it. So if Casey's behind it, it'll probably be pretty good anyways. So, all right, this is the time to play the outro. We're going to do that. This is the time to clear the graphics. And we're going to do that. And we're going to go dunk a basketball. But I'm going to tell you right now, this team, don't let them steal too many more wins. Don't let them hang around, man. Don't let them hang around. Because if you do, you might get bit. You know what I'm saying? This is like March Madness a little bit. You know what I'm talking about. That 13 seed, the 14 seed, definitely the 12 seed, as we all know. You let them hang around halfway through the second half. Those guys that aren't supposed to be there, they end up being there. And they end up making a Cinderella run. Don't let the Reds do that. I'd hate to see it. I'd hate to see it. I'd hate to see the 64.5 wins Cincinnati Reds just get red hot. Don't do it. I'm going to go dunk a basketball.